All right, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Merry Christmas Eve. Appreciate you guys working on Christmas Eve.
We got no choice.
Seriously?
Hey, if you're
I
here,
do it anyway.
Let me ask you a question. What would happen if you didn't show up?
Nothing. I
'Cause-
don't really have any
See,
bosses
so
here.
it is your choice.
I don't have family or anyone here, so.
Well, who those of you who do have family here, I hope you get to spend the Christmas with them.
hey, if you're here, we're gonna be here.
I appreciate it. I do. I really do appreciate it. It looks like some people took Christmas Eve off, you know? For those like looking, this whole side of the room right now is empty. So to those who missed it, Merry Christmas to them too. Clearly, they're enjoying it more than us in this room. All right.
What would happen if you didn't show up?
Today? Yeah, I don't think that'd be good. I have to show up. But I will get home tonight to see my kids before they go to bed and Santa comes. And, you know, Matt was kind to push things back tomorrow to let the staff and the families celebrate Christmas morning together. So I appreciate that from him. That goes a long way, certainly, to the players and to our families. So, Matt, thank you, even though he'll never watch this. I appreciate it. All right, to football.
What happened on the touchdown at the end of regulation?
Well, we had a pressure called, and not to get too specific into the details of the call, we had a pressure call versus a great look. They were in a call and in a protection where they couldn't pick it up. You know, we had a free runner, and we had a busting coverage that he was able to find a guy and throw off his back foot and make the play. So we've got to coach that better. We've got to play it better. But I can look you in the eye and tell you that's what happened.
They supposed to switch that route?
I'm not going to go into detail on what happened and relive that and point fingers. But there was an error in the coverage. It should have been covered. We made a mistake, so we got to coach it better. We have to execute it better. But we had a free runner at the quarterback, and that's very rare to happen. So we got to make that play. But, hats off to them. Threw off his back foot, and they made a great play. So.
Matt was saying how just bizarre that game was when you only had 6 points given up in the first 57 minutes. How much of what happened after the onside kick can be attributed to momentum? It was a massive momentum play. Did that play a factor?
Yeah, I think, I respect that question. I think momentum plays a huge part in our game, right or wrong, whether you want to admit it. But I can't use that as an excuse. I mean, I'm so proud of the way those guys played in the game. I mean, we sat here all last week, and it was, how are we going to play defense without Micah, and how are we going to play defense without this guy and all these injuries, and against a top 5 offense and, a really good play caller for most of the game. I mean, they couldn't score a touchdown. I mean, it was inspiring. The third down defense was outstanding. I think they were 1 of 11 until I think the very end of the game. I just was proud of how physical we were, how fast we were, and we really thought when we were able to bleed the clock and get them to kick that field goal, just under that 2-minute warning or right at the 2-minute warning, it was, we were right there, and unfortunately what happened, and we have to get back on the field and we have to get a stop. And we had a chance to when we were right there, right there. And we didn't get it done, so we got to finish. But, the process has always been very important to me and to us, and I thought it was right. And I'm really, really proud of the way those guys stepped up and played. And I mean that. The loss hurts. It's tough. But as always, we learn from it. We move on. And if we can continue to do that, we're going to play really well in these last 2 games and going forward. So confident in the defense as I was, and just proud of those guys.
Jeff, I don't know what your numbers or charting said on as far as pressures on Caleb, but our ESPN numbers said you guys pressured him at the highest rate he's been pressured all season.
Yeah.
What did you think, just your pass rush without Micah?
Yeah, no, I mean, your statistics are accurate. The plan was to try to keep him in the pocket. The plan was to be aggressive in the game. We kind of joked, did we have some other stuff that we had to work real hard last week and plan, and we did. And I credit to the staff and I credit to the players. We executed it, whether it was 4-man rush with games, whether it was some different exotic pressures or sim pressures or man pressures. We tried to go after them and contain them, and the guys really executed at a high level. And whether it was a hit on the quarterback or flushing him out to throw the ball away, I felt like he threw the ball into the stands multiple times. I felt like the intentional grounding, we had a free runner there, which he just threw up the ball. And, even on the last play, I mean, they didn't block us. So, you know, it was a successful day as far as the pressures go, and hopefully we can build off of that and continue to pressure the quarterback. So we'll find a way. And like I said, I just think it's important to do our job, and whoever's out there, we need to figure out what they do best and put them in position to succeed. And, you know, I credit our players for executing it.
With the questions they got at quarterback, do you have varying game plans depending on, I realize they have kind of the same scheme, but do you have to attack differently, or is it basically the same thing regardless of who's out there?
Well, I don't want to take anything away from Lamar, you know, and say it's just going to be the same thing. I have a ton of respect for him and what he's done in this league and how dynamic he is. I mean, I went back and, you know, just the times that whether we practiced against him or played against him or I've watched him play, I mean, he's dynamic. So I don't want to say, no, it's just the same thing no matter who plays quarterback, because I think that's unfair to give credit to Lamar and what he's done in this league and how dynamic he is. As far as scheme, I don't think the scheme will change very much. Certainly they might have wrinkles in what Huntley is more comfortable in doing, right? Just like any other coach would do with his player. But if you go back and watch the games that he's played in, it's similar. I mean, he can run the ball, he can throw the ball, he moves well in the pocket, he can escape coverages, he can scramble. He's a good athlete who's been in the league for quite a while. But they got a good team. I mean, they got a bunch of stars on that team. And the running back, I mean, you guys all have seen how big and strong and dangerous he can be. I think the O-line is playing really well. I think they're well coached. I think the scheme and Coach Monk can do a really good job within the run game, the play-pass game. They got multiple tight ends, and then Zay. I mean, Zay, you know, I had the opportunity to coach for multiple years. Now I get to coach against him. He's a dynamic wideout who can stop and start. I mean, he's got over 70 catches this year. I think the next most at receiver for them is in the 18s or 20s, so you know how they're going to get him the ball. They're going to hand him the ball, quick throws him the ball, take shots down the field to him, and his catch and run is as good as there is in this league. He has a crazy way of seeing things and spatial awareness, and you know, as a guy that coached him for 3 years, it makes me extremely proud to see. But now we're going to do everything we can to stop him. You know, what I'm most proud of when I watch, though, is the way he blocks down the field. He's just, the guy's been relentless. He's blocking, he's catching the balls, and that's always one thing that, you know, I think back to talking to him about was, you know, anybody can go out and catch the ball. It's just those guys who block down the field shows you how much you care about your teammates and how much you love football. And it's actually really cool for me to see him continue to do that. You know, I'm very fond of the guy, and now it's everything we can do to stop him and get him on the ground and limit him. So they're an explosive offense. I got a ton of respect for him.
The one knock on their running back is that he has fumbled this season. They've been pretty critical. Do you identify that on film? And when you do, it becomes a trend for a guy. Do you look at that as an opportunity?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I don't think there's many knocks on him because I think, he's big and fast and he's hard to bring down, and he's got I think he has over 230 carries on the year. So it's more carries, more chances for him to fumble the ball, more chances to attack the ball. You know, so we'll do everything we can to take the ball from him. I mean, I think takeaways are going to be huge in this game. If you look at both teams right now, the ball is, one team hasn't lost if they win the ball, our team hasn't lost if we win the ball. So we've got to certainly do a better job than we did last week attacking the ball.
Hey, Jeff, I understand why you don't want to get into the game-tying touchdown, but if it was involving Key, and then obviously you get beat for the game winner, I was asking Rich about this. I understand the cliche is that you have to have a short memory at that position, but how do you think he bounces back from something like that? Because that's a pretty big burden when you lose a game like that.
Yeah, I just you can look at this game. You can look at every single game that a team loses, and if it's a close game, the last guy, whoever it might be on the team, that guy who gets beat, or that guy who misses a tackle, or that guy who gets beat in coverage, or that guy who busts something, it's easy to point fingers at that guy, right? And I don't think that's fair to do. There's 60, 65, 70 other plays in the game, and the game's never going to come down to one play, and I mean that. And that's how they have to approach the game. And you can't just put the burden on yourself, one play. Well, what about the other plays where they led down the field and we had a missed coverage or a missed tackle where a guy caught a ball on someone that led to 3 points or the other 3 points they had or the other 3 points that they had? You know, we had some critical mistakes in the game. We had a critical penalty in the game on 3rd and 20. We sacked the guy. It's 4th and 28. And, you know, things happen throughout the course of the game, but you can't look and say, well, that's why we lost the game. So how does he respond? I hope he or anyone else in those positions respond. It's hard, right? And you have to press on and you have to move forward. And you know what else you need? You need coaches and players around him who are going to pick him up. And I think that's my job, and I think that's the other players on our team when a guy's down to help pick him up. And he needs to respond. He has to, and so do all the other guys who made mistakes in that game.
Yeah, the reason I ask is I talked to X about it. He said that there are times when Key carries his failures too long. And I can identify with that type of personality. So I'm just curious. I'm not trying to pin it on him. I'm just saying, how does a guy that everyone's paying attention to, how does he handle it? And that was.
Yeah, I think it's hard. And I think each individual is probably going to handle it different. But I think that's where we come in. I mean, I called him met him right outside the bus after the game because I wanted to see him, and I gave him a big hug. I mean, he needs all of us right now, but he's also got to get over it because we got another game to play. And you can never let one game beat you twice. And that one catch or 2 catches, whatever it may be, can't lead to more catches in the next game. And that's life in this league. And that's life in general, right? If you're going to get knocked down, get up. And you know how it's easier to get up? When you got good teammates. And when you got coaches who care about you, that are going to have your back, right? And aren't going to point fingers and blame somebody because it ain't his fault. We got to coach it better too, right? So that's my mentality with all those guys. Key's had a really good year for us, a really good year. And I expect he'll have a good 2 games, and going forward, he'll continue to help us out. But that's all part of this.
You know, Jeff, conversely, you know, maybe one play doesn't lose a game, but one play can win a game, you know, and like down the stretch, you get those plays from Micah Parsons. He's always a threat to get those plays. How do you get them out of others? How do you coax that out of some others? Is that what you're missing?
No, I think we got them. We got pressure at a higher rate than we had, looking at your numbers, than we had in the last however many weeks. I don't think one.
You didn't get an interception.
For sure, and we had other chances to do those things. So I don't look at it like that. I don't think one play can win you a game, and I don't think one play can lose you a game. I think it's the culmination of the consistency throughout the game and what you do. The one play that might win you the game might have been the 3rd down stop in the first quarter. The one play that might have won you the game might have been the sack on 3rd and 9, and now they're out of field goal range, right? But just because it's the last play or the one sack at the end of the game, just don't look at it like that. And I'm not going to look back at who's not here. I'm going to look at who is here and if we can continue to do what we did in that game going forward. And that's what we did. We generated a lot of pressure in that game, and we made a lot of plays in that game against a really good offense. Unfortunately, we just didn't finish.
2 more, please.
Jeff, you know, you got Cox schemed up on that play and he's flat free. How much can he help you even when he is blocked on occasion? And how much can Colin Oliver help you in that kind of?
Yeah, I thought Cox was very disruptive in the game. You know, even on a couple of those boots in the first game we played him, I don't think we did a very good job in the boot game. So you can see we did some different things to not let him out of the pocket. He was a big part of some of those. And even when he didn't get him down, now the quarterback's kind of got to pull up, and he couldn't get to the perimeter. So maybe he didn't make the play, but he did make the play, right? So I think his strength, his physicality, the way he plays the game, his toughness, I think that helped us out a lot in the run and the pass game. You know, Colin, who just really started practicing again, he's a guy that, you know, maybe not as big as Cox or some of those other guys, but he's got really good speed, really good pass rush ability, and he has a different skill set and some different versatility where we can use him in different ways, which I'm really excited about.
How did you think with Javon having to play back again, how he handled that, you know, after so much time he spent with nickel, having to fill in there with...
I think he did great. Really physical. I thought his pass coverage was really good. He had the big breakup on the 3rd down that led to a field goal. I think it was 3rd and 4. And then he had a big breakup in the 2-minute drive where he knocked the ball loose. He had some big open field tackles. Like I said, I think he's had a really, really good year. being able to play safety and base, being able to play nickel and sub, going and playing safety, you know, with Evan being out for that whole game. I thought he played a really solid game, but it doesn't surprise me. I think he's kind of had a very consistent, very solid year and probably does not get enough credit and is not talked about enough.